Hey guys, what is up? What's going on? It's your girl Ashley and welcome back to the channel. So today's video is pretty exciting because I will be going over the brand new Emily Edit palettes in collaboration with Makeup Revolution. Now, Makeup Revolution is a brand, an affordable brand sold at Ulta beauty stores, and I think this is so amazing. Emily Noel here on YouTube is very much deserving of this collaboration. She came out with two products. We have the Needs and we have the Wands. I really love the packaging of these two items. Like, they are so sleek. They feel very, very luxurious, and I'm all about that. It's honestly very refreshing to see a brand collaborate with an influencer outside of the 20 influencers we're used to seeing all over social media. No tea, no shade. I'm honestly just saying huge congratulations to Emily. I think that these palettes are really, really awesome, and I'm gonna kind of jump into them, let you guys know my thoughts. So if you guys are ready for it, if you guys are here for it, don't forget to press that subscribe button, turn on your post notifications so that way you guys are notified anytime I upload, which is 3 times a week, every single week. And without further ado, guys, let's go ahead and hop into it. I pretty much just want to go over what she came out with. She came out with 2 different palettes. We have the Needs palette right here, and as you can see, it's in a hard case. It's very, very good quality. Like, holding this in my hand, it feels luxurious. It feels like I am paying for a quality product. You also have her name, the Emily Edit, right here, and it is in rose gold writing, which is super cute. The concept of the Needs palette is pretty much everything that you're gonna need to create a makeup look. So when you pop it open, as you can see, you get a full-size mirror. Oop, I'm blinding you guys, but the mirror is huge on this, so I definitely appreciate that. You also have a highlight, blush, bronzer. You have a total of 6 eyeshadows, and then you have a under eye powder right here. So I think that this is a really awesome concept because if you wanted to use this for travel purposes, then you are more than welcome to do so. You're gonna have everything you need to create your look. Now, I will be using this palette in conjunction with her other palette, which is the Wands. I feel like most people are excited for the Wands because it is such a huge palette. Like, look at this. Again, it is in that hard casing. It says Emily in rose gold, and when you pop it open, you have obviously the clear protective plastic, but it has a huge mirror, and that's just insane to even think about. You also get 24 eyeshadows right here, and the names are right underneath the shadows. Like, I can't even tell you guys how excited and happy that makes me, because you guys know I am known for messing up shade names when they're written on the back, so I really, really do like this. And the shade range is really, really pretty. We have a nice mixture between cool and also warm tones, shimmers, and mattes. Now, this particular palette right here does retail for $20. I think the price point on this is really, really awesome because, again, you are getting 24 eyeshadows. I'm not sure if I said it, but the Needs palette right here, this retails for $15. So I'm gonna kind of dabble into both today. I will be using the Needs palette on my face, and I will be using majority of the shadows from the Wands palette. So with that, let's go ahead and get into it. I did my brows off camera, and I also have a little bit of concealer on my eyelids, but I'm gonna add a little bit more. I'm just gonna use the Born This Way multi-use sculpting concealer by Too Faced. I do really like this, and it just so happens to be on my vanity because it is a concealer that I gravitate towards pretty often. So I'm gonna take a little bit of this and pop it onto my eyelids. Now, normally I will use a base that is super light, but what I've noticed is that when I go in with a concealer that's way too light all over my eyelids, I have this cast right underneath my brow bone, and it looks a little bit weird when I put on my foundation. So I have been using a concealer that matches my skin tone to prime my eyelids. Now, fun fact, a lot of you guys did ask me to actually review the Makeup Revolution collaboration with Emily, and that is why I looked into it. I tried to buy it online and they were completely sold out, so that in itself is a really, really awesome feeling, I'm sure. I actually went to a couple Ultas in my area. I found these in the Ulta in Oldsmar, so shout out to Oldsmar Ulta because I was able to snag them. They did have like 5 of her Wands palettes in stock, stock. So I picked one up, I snagged one up just so that way I could kind of film this video for you guys. But I'm gonna go into the Wands palette right here. Honestly, this just feels so good in my hand. It feels heavy, it feels good quality, and I can't believe that there is such a huge mirror in this palette. Like, your girl is shook. The first shade I'm going to take in the palette is called Midwest. And this is a really pretty kind of soft brown shade. I am taking it on a Sigma E25 blending brush, which is pretty much equivalent to a Morphe M433. I'm pressing her right here on the very outer corner. Honestly, I feel like I don't even need this mirror right here. I could just use my big mirror in my palette. Oh my god, I'm such a freaking fool. But I'm pressing the shadow right here. It does appear to have pretty decent pigmentation. While this is a warm tone brown, I feel like it is pulling a little bit peach, which I'm not mad at. I'm just kind of brushing the shadow into the crease very lightly. Now, I'm not entirely sure where I'm going with this look. I do know that I do want more of like a warm eye look, but I also want to incorporate some of the pops of color she has in the palette because I think they are really pretty. I am going to continue packing the shade right here on the outer V, and when the majority of the product has already left my brush, I'm just going to drag her inwards right here into the inner socket of my crease. I am going to drag this shadow out a little bit more than usual. Normally I'll go and I'll kind of bring it in right here, but as you can see, I'm kind of like flicking her out. I want the shadow to kind of follow my natural brow. So that color is really, really pretty, but it's also very, very soft. So I'm going to pick up the shade called Dues Paid, and I'm going to use that same Sigma E25, and I'm just going to use this to kind of just intensify this outer area right here. One thing I will say about these shadows is that they are extremely soft and they're blending out very nicely. As you can see, that looks super pretty on the eye. I'm really just packing on this color like so, and I'm taking my brush and I'm working it side to side in the socket. So I'm kind of opening my eye at the same time, just so that way this doesn't go above my crease. So that's looking extremely beautiful. I'm gonna go in and pick up a little bit more of Dues Paid on a M441, and I'm just gonna use this to really just blend out the shadow. I am noticing that the shadows are blending out super beautifully. Y'all. This is such a pretty palette. I am getting a little bit of kickback in the pan, but again, nothing too crazy. I'm also not getting a crazy amount of fallout, which is really, really awesome. With an M507, I'm gonna pick up the shade called Cheer, which is a really beautiful kind of like deep burgundy, and I'm going to start placing her right here. Again, I have no idea what I'm going for with this look. I'm just kind of going with the flow and seeing how these shadows layer on top of each other and the overall pigmentation. So once I have this color placed right here towards the outer V, I'm gonna kind of just give her a little bit of a flick. Then with a clean M514, I'm just gonna run it alongside these edges to blend her out a little bit. So picking up a little bit of Laugh Cry on an M514, I'm just gonna kind of bring it right here in the very inner socket in a diffused way, which is why I am using a little bit more of a smaller blending brush. So as I'm sure you guys probably can already tell, I'm definitely trying to use as many colors as I possibly can within this look, just so that way you guys can get a really good feel for the palette. So far, I'm pretty impressed with the blendability and overall pigmentation of the shadows. I'm using a pencil brush right here to really just deepen up this shade in my crease. So as you can see, I'm definitely trying to create a little bit more of a different kind of eye shape with shadow, just because I feel like anytime I get on here and I'm reviewing palettes and I'm doing like eye shoots, I always like stick to the same like eyeshadow look. So I'm definitely trying to switch up the pace here a little bit, and I really, really am loving how she is turning out. I'm just using an M433 and I'm buffing out the edges a little bit while still keeping this flick with my eyeshadow. I am gonna dip outside of the palette a little bit, and I'm just gonna take a bone colored shade with a little bit of shimmer to it and pop it right here on the brow bone, just like that. And this shadow is from the original Jaclyn Hill palette. It's called In Light, and it's probably one of my top favorite brow bone highlights. Then I'm gonna take an M433 with a little bit of the shade called Laugh Cry, and I'm just gonna kind of buff it into the crease to allow it to blend a little bit better with my brow bone highlight. Overall, I am impressed. You guys see that blend? Honey, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a little bit of my NARS Soft Matte Complete Concealer. This one is in the shade Creme Brulee, and I'm gonna use this brush right here by e.l.f. It's just a random brush that I got in a brush collection, and I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna kind of just pat out a little bit of space on my lid. Now I'm not cutting my crease or anything like that, which is why I am using more of a fluffy brush. I'm gonna flip it over and I'm just gonna kind of blend out that concealer in a diffused way. I'm just doing light patting motions just so that way this concealer is nice and blended. So at this point, this is what I'm working with. I'm just gonna do a little bit of cleanup with my E25, and I'm just gonna kind of deepen up these areas right here, like so. And I'm just kind of like patting on the eyeshadow. I really don't need to press or blend all that hard. Just trying to bring back a little bit of that color. The next shade I'm gonna go in with is called Top Story, and it is that really beautiful bronze in the palette. I know you guys are like, what? Yeah, I'm gonna go in with the bronze, but I am going to incorporate some pops of color. I am applying the bronze with my finger just to kind of see how she applies. And that is just a very light and thin layer of shadow. Now this does pull a little bit more bronze and gold, which is something I really like in an eyeshadow. I don't really like bright golds. Like, I can play with them, but they're not like my favorite, if you know what I mean. So I'm going to take an M167 and I'm just going to pat on this gold right here. And this is just going to add a little bit of shimmer to the lid. After that, I'm going to take a little bit of cheer and I'm just going to kind of blend her into that bronze for a little bit more of a seamless blend. So it's kind of like I'm covering up a little bit of that bronze shimmer just so that way you see a little bit more of a seamless blend from the bronze to this burgundy shade. Now if you want, you can even go in with a little bit of the shade called Laugh Cry to create more dimension. Once that's done, I'm just gonna go in with a little bit more of that bronze and just pat, pat, pat to re-intensify a little bit. Now this is that gold shade going on completely dry. I am going to spray her with some Fix Plus to see if I can get a little bit more like to the shadow. You guys know typically I do like to apply my shimmer shadows wet anyways with Fix Plus. So I'm just going to kind of pop her on to see if that kind of amps things up. So I don't feel like it did all that much. I feel like she's just a pretty shimmer. She's not like a foiled shimmer or anything like that, but she still very much is pretty. So that's kind of what we are working with right now. So far you guys, this is kind of what the eyes are looking like. What I'm going to do is I'm going to finish off my face off camera and then we're going to come back and continue working on the eyes. So currently this is what I'm working with. Honestly, I'm really loving how she's turning out. I want to add a little bit of glitter on top of the gold just to add a little bit more oomph to the look. Now I know this is primarily focused on the Makeup Revolution palette and collaboration with Emily, but I kind of want to like do something a little bit different on my channel. So I'm going to take this. This is in the shade Flash and Dash. And what I like about this particular glitter is that it is glitter based and it's not essentially a metallic liquid eyeshadow. So it's going to add a little bit of glitter to the look without taking it to the extreme. And I just kind of like to pat the wand over top of the golds just to add a little bit of shimmer. As you can see, it's nothing too crazy, nothing too intense, but honestly, that's how I like it. I feel like this look definitely calls for liner. So I'm going to use a little bit of my Maybelline gel eyeliner. This one is in the shade Blackest Black. I'm going to take it on an angled brush by Smashbox because I am going to do kind of like my signature liner. So what I like to do is I like to take an angled brush. I like to kind of stick the brush right here and then I like to bring it in to start, and this kind of just starts the base of my eyeliner. So now that I have that done, I'm going to kind of close and I'm going to clean up the line like so, and from there I can kind of create my smoked out liner that I've been doing in a lot of my videos recently. I'm switching over to my MAC 210 liner brush to really just perfect this line right here. Now that that's done, I'm going to take a little bit of the gel liner on a pencil brush and I'm just going to kind of press it right here towards the outer edge just to kind of buff and blend out the liner a little bit. So in turn, you guys, we should have a little bit something that looks like this. I'm now going to move on to using the shade Dark and Early from the palette, which is the black. And I am going to take it on a pencil brush and I'm going to kind of pack that black right over the gel eyeliner. like so, to really just mattify the liner. This is something I always like to do. I feel like it really just makes my black eyeliner super matte, super black, and I'm all about that. So that's why I do it. I'm also going to take an M507, pick up a little bit of the shade called Cheer, and just buff it over the edge right here just to kind of diffuse her out. I'm just taking a little bit of powder and I'm stamping it right here to just sharpen up that edge. Honestly, this look went from being super subtle and soft to hella dramatic real quick, but typical Ashley move. For sure. After smudging out my liner, I went ahead and finished off my lower lash line and popped on some falsies. I'm now just going to use a shade called Belle Violet, which is a really beautiful violet kind of lilac shade. I'm going to take it on a pencil brush and I'm going to pop her right here in the very inner corner for more of a pop. Now, I knew for sure I wanted to put this in my inner corner because she is just so stunning and so beautiful. And I feel like this is a really easy way to incorporate color into your makeup look without having to take it all over the lid. With an M507, I'm going to take a little bit more of Belle Violet and I'm just going to kind of diffuse her right here in the very inner corner, like really just blow her out. Now you can tone this down, you can amp it up, you can do whatever it is that you want. I'm just going to kind of tone her down a tad bit because I feel like I got a little bit carried away, but you guys get it. Like, she looks so pretty right there in the inner corner. It's a really nice, unexpected pop of color. Hi! So now that my eyes are done, I'm going to move on to using the Needs palette, which is everything you would need to create a makeup look. Now, since I did use all the shadows in the Wants palette, I will be using just the face products in this palette right here. I'm going to pick up Kindness on a Luxie brush, and I'm actually going to use this as my under eye powder. I do have a little bit of powder underneath the eyes, but I really just want to see what this is all about. If she's brightening, like what's going on. I do notice subtle sheen with the shade, but nothing too cray. Oh, actually, yeah, she's definitely a little bit brightening. As you can see, she kind of brightened underneath my eyes a little bit, but it's nothing too drastic. I'm gonna go in with the bronzer called Courage, and I'm gonna take it on an angled brush by Smashbox. As you can see, I do have quite a bit of product on my brush, so I'm just gonna kind of stamp it right here alongside my temples. Ooh, she is definitely pigmented. Okay, come through, pigment. She is definitely more of a warm tone bronzer. And I really do like a warm tone bronzer, except I think I put way too much. Way too much. Okay, so for the most part, I will say that the palette is really beautiful. As you can see, the bronzer is pretty pigmented. She leans a little bit warm. The only thing I will say about a palette like this is that it is only suitable for people who have fair skin tone, light skin tones, and medium skin tones like myself. This would not work for women of color. This would not be dark enough for women of color. So that is a little bit unfortunate, but I feel like that's a problem that you're gonna run into whenever you are creating a face and eye palette together, unless you're coming out with multiple versions, like one for fair skin tones, one for deeper skin tones. So unfortunately, I don't feel like this palette would be very usable for women with deeper skin complexions or even men with deeper skin complexions. So that's a little disappointing, but nonetheless, the formula within the palette is really good. I'm gonna go into the shade called Joy with a blush brush, and I'm gonna apply some to my cheeks. That blush is stunning. I also wanted to point out that while I am using different brushes, this one's for bronzer, this one's for blush, as you can see, they are different sizes. So another thing I want to point out within the palette is that these are the face products right here. This is a bronzer, blush, highlight. They are relatively small. Like, do you guys see the size of my brush compared to the blush shade? So kind of when I dip my brush in the blush, I'm kind of getting it a little bit in the bronzer and a little bit in the highlight. I feel like they could have most definitely utilized a little bit more space within the palette, since they are essentially cheek products, and it is common to have your cheek products a lot larger within a eye and cheek palette. I'm now going to move on to using the highlighter. This one is called Gratitude. And I'm going to kind of pop it right here. Ooh, you guys, that is beautiful. Ooh, I love the highlighter. I really do. I like that it's a subtle highlighter that you could build up to an intense highlighter, if you know what I mean. So it's definitely a buildable highlighter. When I put her on, I was shocked. Like, I'm shocked. Honey, I am going to take that highlighter and I'm going to put it right across my nose like this. kind of long ways just because I do like the way that looks a little bit better. And I'm also gonna stick her on my Cupid's bow. All right, you guys, so you're definitely gonna have to let me know what you think of the look in the comments down below. And if I had to pick one over the other, the needs or the wants, like which one would I pick? Honestly, I would probably lean a little bit more towards the wand simply because this is $20 and you get a full-size mirror. Like, look how insanely large this palette is. You get 25 creamy, buildable, blendable eyeshadows. I think that is really, really awesome. I did not have a problem with blending these shadows out. I didn't have a problem with patchiness. I didn't have a problem with any of these shadows. They are extremely creamy, and that's what I really like about it. I like that there's a variety of colors in here. So you have your neutrals, you have your warm tones, but you also have your pop of colors. So that's what I really like about it. I don't think that there is a palette for $20 that feels this luxurious, and that's just me being completely honest. As for the needs palette, I personally feel like I wouldn't reach for this as often as I would the wants palette, simply because it is a face and eye palette and you get 6 eyeshadows, which are pretty neutral, pretty basic, but I'm not in love with them. Like, you don't get a shimmer, you don't get anything like that. And I honestly don't really deviate much from my personal face products. Like, I have my face products that are set in stone that I use day to day, and I don't see myself using this in replacement of my current face products, which is why I would not repurchase this if I was given the opportunity to do so. Like I said, it's not to say that this is a bad palette. I think it is a pretty decent concept, with the exception that it isn't suitable for all skin tones, but I do think this collaboration as a whole is really great. I really love the Wants palette. I would definitely recommend it, hands down. It's very affordable and the shadows are pretty good, if I do say so myself. So I'll have both products linked down below in case any of you guys are interested in checking those out. Again, those are my thoughts. I'm not really trying to shed negative light on Emily. I think she did a great job, and huge congratulations to Emily. Those are just my personal thoughts. And with that, I love you. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. I upload 3 new videos every single week, Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday at 9 a.m. and you guys don't want to miss it. I love you, and I will talk to you soon. Deuces. The outro of the outro. What'd you guys think of the video? Definitely let me know in the comments down below. I know I went a little bit dramatic, but you can definitely tone this palette down. Honestly, there are so many amazing colors in here. You can create so many different looks, like so many. So, ooh, shit, I'm blinding you. But check out some of my other videos. Also, don't forget to subscribe right here by pressing this button. And with that, I love you, and I will talk to you guys in the next video. Thumbs it up though. Give it a big thumbs up. Come on. Takes 2 seconds. Goodbye.